breaking news.
Hey guys, Fusebox, back on Raid Shadow Legends for a Fuse news update, and pretty much nothing but good news. That doesn't happen too often in this game, so let's enjoy it. Tease, it's been doing really good lately. They've been doing a lot of work. So the first thing I want to talk about, we're getting hero buffs really quickly. Let's kind of go over them. Alright, now we're getting into the good stuff. Lord Shazar is one of my favorite champions. Anybody who has progressed in the game and, can build a champion fairly well and has Lord Shazar should know that he's just an amazing champion. An arena lord, like for sure. So good in so many places. Clan boss can out damage so many champions in this game if he's going up against a lot of buffs just with that A1. Super champion. So the only place he falls behind him, you have to build him with crit rate, so sometimes it's harder to reach those numbers on attack. Other attack champions don't need the crit damage and the crit rate that you want to put on him because he does have to crit. Well, his bomb damage actually has smaller multipliers than all of the legendary champions and most of the epics that are out there that play bombs. Still does good damage, but with lower attack numbers because you're building him with crit and smaller actual multipliers on those bombs, they're going to fix that. They're increasing it. I don't know how much, but I'm betting you he's a legendary. He already acts like a legendary. He looks like a legendary. I bet you it's going to be on par with some of the other legendaries now, like Gaius the Gleeful, making him, once again, the contender for my favorite bomb layer. Him and Gaius both are just stupid amazing. I use them both together in Arena, actually, myself. I'm really excited for this buff, so if you got him, there's no reason not to be excited. More bomb damage on Lord Shazar is just more Lord Shazar. Before I get out of here, if you haven't watched my Gaius the Gleeful video where I learned about Lord Shazar's secret, it's worth knowing that he does some things that his kit really doesn't word right that are actually advantageous. So on this A3, just so you know, if you crit, he places his bombs for 1 turn instead of 2. Decreases the detonation by 1. But it does this to other people's bombs as well. So if you haven't known that, really interesting way to play them. If they're down to 1, this actually detonates them down to 0. And if you put up like Gaius's 2-turn bombs, this takes them down to 1 and of course places them for 1 on the bombs that Lord Shazar places himself. Definitely something you want to know if you haven't. Okay, Venus. An amazing champion. So amazing. I had her on my other account. I gave that one away. So amazing. I didn't realize she needed a buff. I had noticed it in the past, but she's so good. I just didn't even quite realize it. And it's a good one. Simply this, instead of booking the 75% chance of placing the AoE HP burn, it's going to be 100%. Solid, simple, probably needed to be done. She is a void legendary. She acts like a void legendary. She looks like a void legendary, but that kind of needed to be done. Which means on her own, she's even more viable to take on the spiders. I've done spider teams with her before, but this makes her a guaranteed. She's so good, I didn't even realize she needed it. But the fact that they're doing it is good. If you've got Venus, it's definitely a reason to be excited because I'm sure you're already using her. If not, you should be. Okay, this is huge, and especially for me. I've been sitting on Cupidus. I finally took him to 6-star, and I'm working on him right now because he's going to be amazing. He already was a great damage dealer. He pairs up with Venus and does a lot of work. But now, he's ridiculous. If you have him, get him, build him up, get him ready. This guy's going to be insane. So this is going to a 100% chance of HP burn. That's already great. It's going to a full AoE, which is much better. And they're even increasing the damage. And he is a damage dealer. Okay, this is crazy good. They're making it to where he will always counterattack with his A1. And he's going to inflict 25% more damage to targets. They don't have to be under debuffs. All these changes just make him so... That's if I believe Venus is still on the same team. You'll still need Venus for this to work. But you don't have to have debuffs up. He's always going to do it. So imagine on Hydra if you have both. 2 people with AoE HP burns. You're always counterattacking with your A1. You're 25% more damage. You don't have to worry about debuffs being on those heads that you're fighting. That's going to be ridiculous. I really want a Venus now. That pair is going to be amazing. This is an incredible buff, without question. Alright, Lugan the Steadfast. These changes actually change a lot for me. I like Lugan. He can do some amazing things. But he has issues with his kit, and they're fixing them. They're fixing them the right way. So I'll actually do like a damage build, and I ignore doing the ally protection because you don't want a lot of crit damage if you're doing that. And he just heals with that A1, shields himself, he blocks active skills. Super amazing. Well, now going to this bodyguard, they're dropping this to a 3-turn cooldown once he's booked. Ally protection, increased defense on himself. At last 3 turns, it's on a 3-turn cooldown, so he's always defense up while he's ally protecting. That definitely changes the flow of things because now I'm not going to want that crit damage. I'm going to want to use this ally protection. It's definitely cool. 3-turn cooldown, he's always protected. He's keeping it up for 2 turns, and then he comes back around, does it again. So dropping this cooldown is huge, but which makes this change now not so important to me, but it's still something that should be done. This is based on attack, it's going to be based on HP, and it's something that should have been done a long time ago. But now I'm not really making a crazy damage build. I'm probably losing the crit rate and going to an actual ally protection build because he's a ridiculously tanky, strong champion. Heals on the A1s, automatic shield. Pretty solid champion, but really good changes on him too, so I'm definitely excited about that. Alright, this is another cool change too. So Constantine is actually an amazing damage dealer. He's void. A lot of people thought that, you know, just having a nuker wasn't enough, and I guess where things really got strange, he's got some synergies with his brother Vlad, and most of us did get Vlad. But the passive, they're going to rework this only when Vlad is on the team, which means you have to bring in another quasi damage dealer. I mean, Vlad can do amazing damage, or you're building him just to rip a little turn meter, put out a leech. It's not always the perfect match. If you're not bringing Vlad, he'll go ahead and ignore these factions. He'll make them where they cannot be revived. He'll block revives. But if Vlad's on the team now, he blocks revive on everybody. So there's going to be a lot of situations, including Ice Golem possibly. If you have real strong builds, they could just take those ads out, survive 1 round with a big shield. A lot of people just got Helicath. You can take Hellcat in there. You can put yourself no damage debuffs, nuke the heck out of the side ads, take that big hit that comes out of the boss. Definitely Arena. Obviously, that's kind of where you really picture seeing Constantine is in Arena, and now he can go up against these factions. And, you know, you're looking at Undead, Demon Spawn, Knights Revenant. There are definitely heroes in those factions that will show up from time to time that you wish you could block a revive on. You know, you've already got a lot of heroes in these factions you want to do that to. You don't need Vlad to do that. And if you bring Vlad, you're laying everybody down, and you're laying them down for good. So it's a good change. It's a cool change for sure. Okay, so Jing Wong, he's not just getting a buff. This guy's getting remade, and probably needed to be. He's a void legendary, and if you got him, there was potential in the kit, but you probably felt let down. But here's what's going to happen. This now transfers all debuffs to the enemy. This could be useful on Hydra, anywhere, Arena, wherever you're taking him. At least he's transferring all debuffs straight to the enemy. I mean, there are other champions that can do that. He should be able to do it too. So this one's actually getting a pretty huge change. Now, when we talk about this, remember, this is booked to a 2-turn cooldown. So he can extend the duration now of all debuffs on an enemy on a 2-turn cooldown. That's pretty insane. Also can put a block active skills for 3 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. That is an amazing ability. You can quickly go around and keep people locked out if you need to in a wave, if you're struggling in hard Doom Tower and you don't have a fast team in Arena. But this is quite amazing on either side of this, whichever way you're trying to use him. Being able to increase all durations or lock somebody out for 3 turns, and 2 turns later you're going and doing it to somebody else. He's starting to look like he's going to have some possible Hydra potential. You can't block active skills on the Hydra, but increasing the duration of debuffs, trying to keep up that block debuffs this often could be amazing. Trying to keep up Geomancer's HP burn. If you have a Geomancer, a lot of people struggle trying to keep it up on everybody. You could have a slower Geomancer if you needed to and keep those HP burns up. This is cool. This is definitely a cool move now. They're pretty much reworking everything on this guy. The passive, each turn, he removes all these debuffs from all allies. So, depending on turn order, he can be set up to make sure he can clear the stun on the clan boss. He can be your debuff extension now on a 2-turn cooldown. Still amazing. If he gets debuffed, he can transfer those to the clan boss or whoever, wherever you are. This kit really did get quite a bit stronger. And, remember, he's still got the useful decreased accuracy and decreased crit damage if and when you need to use those too. Like on Clan Boss, you can turn this off and just rely on this 2-turn cooldown, the passive to keep the stun off of you, and transfer any debuffs. It's just a hit, really, on the Clan Boss. But it's going to be fun. He's going to be fun to use in different places against certain bosses for sure. Just this alone, plus that crazy good passive. It's like having a Doom Priest or better. It's only for these certain control, but these are the worst of the worst, right? These are the things you really need cleared off of your heroes. Things like freeze, true freeze. He can come in useful on the Frost Spider now. Definitely solid. Without a doubt, it's solid. Okay, we're also getting a new vault, right? It's just a secondary vault, basically. But 300 more space to put heroes into. The only thing about it is they cannot have artifacts on them. It probably has something to do with storage space on the servers. I'm not sure. But how many times do you get that dupe legendary? You use them for the Guardian factions, also epics, but you're not going to build them out, or at least not for a long time. They're sitting in your vault. You can put them in the other vault without putting gear on them. Decent, right? More space. We'll all take that. So there's a positive change coming. All right, let's talk about HEX real quick. Let's talk about HEX, baby. All right, so it's not huge, but it is a new benefit to HEX, and apparently it's across the board, no matter who you're using, because people, like, where's the Mothman? Ruel, the Huntmaster, he already does increase damage against the HEX, but what HEX is going to do now, and it's good that they're working on it and adding to it, and I don't think they need to overpower it either, so they're probably heading in the right direction. Let me know, do you think it's enough, a good start? How do you feel about it? It may be more than enough to you. It's hard to say. Basically, when HEX is on an enemy, let's say you're up against 3 or 4 enemies, you put HEX on one. When you single target attack one of his allies, he'll take 10% of that damage, and it can't be mitigated by defense. It ignores defense. So if you hit his buddy for 50,000, 5,000 damage goes on to that HEX target. Now that's cool, splash damage. If you do an AoE, of course, that can't work because there'd be, on multiple HEX targets, there'd be damage everywhere. So they're just going to increase the damage of AoEs on that target by 2%. That's a 2% increase to your damage, kind of like having an extra mastery. And then all this, of course, stacks with things like increased damage against HEX if you're using Ruel, Huntmaster, things like that. So it just kind of compounds on all the things that you already are using with HEX. So if you're using Cleoptrix and you're like, why am I throwing HEX out? Well, she is going to mark them with HEX, which does mean everyone else is doing splash damage or extra damage to everybody. So it's not a bad thing. There's nothing bad about it. Is it enough? I don't think it's going to make you switch to a HEX champion, but a lot of the HEX champions are already good. Ruel, Huntmaster, we've got Tomb Lord, Tomb Angel Thea. I mean, they're already good champions if you're using them, So yeah, increased damage that's from your entire team, by the way, going on to anybody with that mark. And a lot of these are AoE HEX marks that you're throwing out there. It means everybody's going to take extra damage one way or the other. So if everybody's under a HEX debuff and you single targets hit somebody, this might make people like Mountain King more exciting to use for you. You hit somebody really hard for 100k, they're all going to take 10k around him. That's a lot of splash damage, and then AoEs just simply do 2% more damage. So it might give you an extra reason to bring it on to the Hydra, where you actually can use HEX so that you can actually physically target the Head of Mischief. And now they're going to do more damage when you bring that Royal Guard in and you're hitting everybody. So that's definitely an improvement. It's not a bad thing. So let me know what you think about that, because I'm really curious. I'm watching them develop HEX. I've been watching it for like a year and a half now, maybe 2 years, however long it's been out. And I'm waiting for it to reach its potential, and they're starting to do it. So let me know what you think. They're on the right track anyways. And let's wrap it all up with a new champion. So we knew this was coming every month. It's a fragment. That's solid. Fragment champions, definitely easier to do. Just less involved. Less involved anyways. For most people, they find it much easier to at least follow the path, figure out what they can and cannot accomplish. Sometimes you can skip 1 or 2 events. But here's the thing. He looks really, really good. I want him even on my main account because, let's start with the A1. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. That's a 2-hitter. It could be useful. Definitely better than 1. But it instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on the target after he attacks. So this gets you quick instant damage. HP burn does big damage. It's, definitely a way to go ahead and set that off. Try to finish the job, make a faster fight. So you're just going to hope that you can put it back up. Well, luckily he attacks all enemies on his A2, and he has a 100% chance, almost for sure, of placing HP burn on all enemies for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted. I, after 3 years roughly of playing this game, still do not have cannot be resisted HP burn. And I cannot tell you, if you have not beaten the final stage of Frostbiter, the first time you get there, if you're not ready, it takes like, 650 accuracy? One way or another, whether you're increasing your accuracy and putting an accuracy aura in the front, whatever. It takes up a lot of space or moving your team around to make sure you can land that HP burn, unless you have someone like Aeronarl. I believe Ignatius cannot be resisted, and now this guy for free. And I do not have one on my team, but it's AoE as well. So it's irresistible. He needs 0 accuracy anywhere else on his kit. That means you don't need to build any accuracy. You can focus on HP. He's a HP champion. Crit damage, crit rate, speed, all the things that you want to put on him, you can focus on them. I don't know if he's going to be like a damage dealing HP champion, but HP burns, HP burn explosion, he starts to sound like a support champion on the next move, so I don't know if he's going to be like a real heavy damage dealer. But this next move's cool too. Equalizes the HP of all allies, then attacks 1 enemy. Okay, equalizes the HP of all enemies is an amazing ability. If you've got Sinesha and you've ever used it, there's even a rare now that does it. I can't think of his name, but I'm building him out just because this move is really amazing. Basically, if somebody's got full HP, whoever has the highest HP is going to take that, equalize your team. It's like an instant full heal. It's as big as a heal can get, right? It tops your team off. As long as somebody out there is protected with full HP, you can pretty much guarantee you're getting the most massive heal you could ever want. So that alone's good. And then it includes an attack, which is kind of rare for an ability like this. Then it goes to explain it. The HP of all will be brought to the same level as the ally with the highest HP. It's going to top everybody off. The attack will ignore 30% of the target's defense if the target's current HP is equal to or lower than this champion's. He's an HP-based champion, so it should be ignoring defense on a lot, 30% of defense on a lot of champions. Starting to sound like he is going to be a damage dealer, which is exciting, right? HP damage dealer, believe me, they're really cool. It's kind of like having a really good defense damage dealer. They're just a tank, right? And HP can be sometimes more useful, like on Ice Golem, than defense. But decreases the cooldown of Exalted Power, which is his HP burn. It's already on a 4-turn cooldown. Might drop to 3, but this will decrease it by 1 turn if the target's current HP is higher than your champion's current HP. So you can be coming back to that HP burn quicker. It's AoE. It can't be resisted. He can explode it and quickly get back to putting it back on. Definitely going to be a champion that you're going to want a lot of speed on to get around to these moves. Could be interesting. Could be interesting to put him in a reflex set and just let all these moves go. Could be fun to watch. He also has a passive that reflects 30% of damage that he receives back to the attacker if he has 50% or more HP. That's useful in arena. If he actually hits hard, he will be useful in arena. The HP burn, well, being able to explode it makes it useful in arena. It really does. Usually it's not that useful in arena, but this could help. Also, on the flip side of that passive, it deals 30% more damage instead if he is less than 50% health. So either way, you're getting something out of him. A damage reflection if you're still doing good, and if you're about dead, it deals 30% more damage on that. It's solid. 30% HP in all battles. Looks cool. He's Knight's Revenant. We were just doing Knight's Rev stuff the other day, talking about trying to auto it on stage 21 because it's a difficult faction, and I was doing it because of Sinesha on one of my runs, just a full auto with Sinesha, and now this guy can come in and help me on the DPS race against the boss and still pull off Sinesha's amazing move, meaning my 2-minute auto run could be even faster. He's definitely somebody you want. If you struggle with Knights Revs, get him. Just get him. I mean, he's a fragment champion. There's no reason not to. But if you're progressing, you need somebody with the ability to equalize your HP. I'm telling you, it's just an instant full heal in most cases. Unless everybody's almost dead, if one person's still standing strong, it's an amazing ability. One person that can block damage. I mean, you can bring in even my farmer, Fellhound, can put block damage on one hero and make sure that they're always at full health, and then this guy can revive or refill everybody's HP. Anyways, super cool looking, super interesting. I don't think he's going to change the game. If you're in game, he's not going to change your game unless you do not have a HP burn that cannot be resisted. That's game changing. If you don't have your HP burn champion already, here it is. Your AoE HP burn champion right here. Go ahead and get him. The only thing on Frost Spider is, would you really want to explode that HP burn? I suppose it'll make the fight faster as long as that doesn't kill the spider and your win condition is having HP burn up at death, because he'll quickly put another HP burn up. Lots to talk about, lots to think about. Let me know what you think about the new guy and everything else, and until next time, enjoy the grind.